Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Media Matters for Anfield Index. A bit of a take two from earlier, so apologies for that, but very much looking forward to talking about the Reds' victory on Sunday, the upcoming fixtures, and various topics off the field. I'm joined again by the renowned and the respected David Lynch, and we'll get straight into the West Ham one, David. We will watch the highlights back in between take two, and they were quite uninspiring, but just a bog standard 2-0. Is that probably what we needed at the moment?
Yeah, 100%. You just knew coming into this Liverpool kind of needed a win, but, obviously that was of utmost importance because of the pressure that the manager was under. And I do genuinely believe, I think if he'd have lost this game against West Ham, I think that would have been it. I think that would have been the end of Arne Slot as Liverpool manager, which seems crazy to say, but you can't keep losing games, as we've said over and over this season. It gets to the point where there is a breaking point, no matter how much faith in him you have, no matter how much you want him to stick around. And so it was crucial they got a result, but I also think if you'd got a result and kind of got battered and nicked one and won it 1-0, I don't think that would have been enough. I think what you needed to see was a win and a performance, and I think Liverpool got both here. They weren't utterly outstanding. We've seen them play better, that's for sure. But they were committed. They looked organised, which is a lot more than you could have said about recent performances. So, yeah, really good day for the manager, really good day for Liverpool as a whole, and they absolutely deserved to win.
They really did. Although, for all the games we played this season, this is trying not to be disrespectful, West Ham were abysmal, really, weren't they? We want to play them every week if we can.
Yeah, but you got to find the balance in that. West Ham were awful, and I guess the acid test will be what kind of comes in the coming games, because there are definitely tougher tests ahead. But equally, how much did Liverpool make them play poorly? They had been on a bit of an upward trajectory recently. I think 3 unbeaten coming into this, and played some decent sides at that time. So they are capable of maybe giving you some more difficulties. They've still got some very, very good players on the pitch. But I think what Liverpool and what I liked about them the most was the just sheer determination that basically nothing would happen in the game. Liverpool went there to just say, this is going to be boring. It's going to be an awful game to watch. But because we've got the quality, we will probably go on and win it regardless. So I kind of like that. So they didn't let West Ham do anything. And as poor as they are and were on the day, and to stop any Premier League side having a shot on target is quite impressive. And certainly when you've been giving up shots on target away, like free sweets for the entirety of the season. So, we shouldn't play them down, and I don't want to play them down. I want to give, very critical of the manager over the past week or so. And I think he deserves huge praise for what he put together at the weekend. Like I say, not perfect at all. But my goodness, he needed that. It was a very kind of fuss-free, well-managed, well-organised 2-0 that was, reminiscent of some of the stuff that we saw last season. And if Liverpool can get back to anything near that, then that would be very, very encouraging.
It is a weird one, because I've seen some of the reactions online, people saying, we didn't have control, we were letting West Ham have the ball. But there was an element of, like you said, the last season, almost that garbage time, because West Ham were pretty garbage with it. We knew they didn't pose any threats. Like you said, they did land a shot on target, and we picked them off at the end, didn't we, as well? Like, we knew what we were doing with that.
Yeah, and there were, there's little periods of West Ham possession, maybe at 1-0, where, you kind of, I think people are a bit nervous because the belief in this side is not there at the moment, and understandably so, because they've been absolutely awful recently. So, but, Liverpool come out with more of possession. They have 56% possession. And as I say, for any of the time that West Ham had the ball, they didn't muster a single shot on target. Someone tried to tell me on social media yesterday that Jared Bowen missed a sitter. Now, if we're calling 0.1 expected goal chances a sitter, then I don't know what we're talking about in football anymore. And I would say even that chance, I watched the highlights back again today. It's so fortuitous the way it lands to him as well.
Yeah.
It would have been typical of Liverpool's season if that did end up in the top corner. But by no means did they deserve that. And I would be loath to call that poor defending or anything like that. It was just very, very unfortunate that it kind of fell the way it did. And it still would have took an incredible finish. And Liverpool did. They limited West Ham completely. They created enough chances of their own to win the game. And so 2-0 was about the right scoreline. And, that's it. As much as we can be critical when they're poor, we've got to recognise when they're good. And I thought they were good on the weekend, and they deserved the result that they got.
Definitely deserved it. Definitely good in periods as well. There's probably one player that stood out more than any. And even Alexis McAllister was talking about Florian Wirtz after saying about what he can do in small spaces. It's amazing. He did it today. As I said, I think it was a really good performance for him, and hopefully he can keep going like this. I mean, especially in that first half, and I know the game got a bit different in the second, but he just looked a level above every attacking player on the pitch. It was almost they just couldn't read the game like him.
Yeah, I think the kind of most enjoyable aspect of it as well was that, this is the best he's played, I'd say, in the Premier League so far, and that's always been the concern. I think from the very early in the Champions League, we've seen real signs of him, but it's the Premier League and that physicality that's there. Can he bring it to this league? And I thought he really showed that he was able to do that against West Ham. Some really nice touches, some like lovely appreciation. You look at his numbers from the game, and they're not kind of that outstanding. I think he has one shot, one chance created, one dribble. But anyone who watched it knows how good he was, and the way he was getting Liverpool on the front foot. And I think it says everything. The way he was kind of involved in the opening goal. He doesn't get an assist. That doesn't register in anything. It's not a chance created, but his fingerprints are all over that. And I think that was true of every good Liverpool attacking move on the day. Really, he was brilliant. So I don't think at any point in this poor in form, though, that any of us associated with Liverpool have been too worried about Wirtz. I always felt like it's going to come, and it's a case of adapting to the league. So not surprised at all, if I'm honest. I've not been worried in the slightest, but it's just a case of he just needed to adapt. He needed to get used to it. But there's sheer class in his boots, and I think we saw it against West Ham, and hopefully the start of a really good run for him now.
I know he plays in a different position. It's a different type of footballer, but there's an element I've seen a lot of people say, which I think stands up a little bit. That Thiago element, as in you enjoy watching him play football. And also, it's not always the assist. It's the pass before the pass, for want of a better phrase. It's like you say, it'll just be his bit of majesty just to thread something through. Almost like people forget when Chiesa scores that goal, sets up Gakpo, for the equaliser against United at Anfield, that it was his just clever little balls down the side. That's what he's got that no one else has.
Yeah, exactly. The Thiago comparison I kind of like, because they do play the game in a really similar way. And the thing is, he's just like a more advanced Thiago in terms of, he is closer there. And you do want the numbers from him, by the way. I think, he is capable of goals and assists. He should probably put that chance away. So, the comparison will fall down there. But it's the way he kind of dictates the game like a deep midfielder, but he is in more advanced positions. And that's what Liverpool allowed him to do, and he platformed him to do in this one. And I really, really enjoyed his performance. But there's clearly more to come as well, though, which is, the flicks and the brilliance that we saw at the weekend. He will have the goals. He will have the assists. I just don't doubt it for a second. I think Liverpool have got a really special player there, but he just needed time, hasn't he? The Bundesliga and the Premier League, it's such a huge jump, but he's only 22. We're starting to see signs now that he's clicking. And I think by his second season, I think he really will be kind of the heart and soul of this team.
Does look a special player. And I mean, we needed a special moment in this one. And Alexander Isak talked about it there, going, we have to use this win in a good way, but also be humble, which sounds like stealing a Haaland quote a little bit there. But just in terms of this game, I mean, let's be honest, he looked rusty as hell for a lot of it. But that finish is almost just being, he took, that's a class finish across his body as well.
Yeah, really, really good, because it's so hard to take with the ball bouncing in front of him like that. Just sheer control. And he knows he doesn't have to blast it. He knows if he just gets the right contact, he can guide it in. World-class finish, really. And it's kind of, we just haven't seen enough of that from him so far. But for obvious reasons, he hasn't been fit since day dot, and there were still rusty elements to his performance, as you say. But I think what most encouraged me, he gets 3 shots in really good positions in the game. The one where he blasts it over, which he probably should hit the target with, and you're not expecting to hit the back of the net from there, but you'd like him to hit the target. Obviously, the one where he forces a very, very good save, and then he gets his goal. So it's not just one moment of poaching. If you get a player of that quality 3 decent shots in a game, there's a chance he's going to get you a goal, because he's very, very good. So that was encouraging and shows that he's still got a way to go. but he's getting in the positions now and he's getting more shots. And if he can get more shots regularly, it's not like Darwin Núñez where you think, oh, if you get 5 shots in a game, you've probably no chance of a goal still. If he gets 3, 4, 5 shots in a game, he's probably going to score one of them. So that's the aim. He's just got to build on this now. And he didn't want to be waiting until late November for him to get his first Premier League goal, but here we are. And the idea is now that he can kick on from that, keep getting the fitness. Big call from the managers to play him again, by the way, rather than going back to Ekitike, which would have maybe been my instinct in that situation. But he got his rewards with a really, really good goal. And yeah, just fingers crossed he can stay fit. And I think just to tie those two up as well and put them together as a kind of final point on them as well, that's £240 million worth of footballer there for Liverpool that's not been performing at his potential and not through either of their own faults, probably not the manager's fault either. One's been adapting, one's had fitness troubles, lacked a pre-season. And when you talk about it like that, £240 million worth, and people go, why are Liverpool so poor when they've spent so much money in the summer? Well, half of that money is on those two, and they've just not, for like I say, reasons that are outside anybody's control, really, have not been showing their potential. And we can talk about the manager and the tactics, and I've been critical of the manager at times, but pretty recently. But I don't half feel sorry for him about stuff like that, because those players have not been £125 million striker or £116 million attacking midfielder for him so far this season. I don't really think that's his fault. So, the fact that they are now starting to show something, and for all the talk about the build-up and the way they're defending and how the attack's doing, if those two start to turn up on a regular basis, that will transform Liverpool. They'll be, everybody hates the phrase, but they will be like new signings made in late November. So, just fingers crossed they can keep it up.
Does feel like it's got to be an upward trajectory for those two. It will quite possibly define our season in simple terms. And for all the praise we're giving those two, I tell you what, Joe Gomez right back, and he talked about afterwards, try to influence the boys in a right way, set an example on the training pitch. And obviously, we know he's a great character. But in this one, he kept it simple. He quite often got chalk on his boots out wide as well, gets an assist as well, but just does it simple, solid. That was just what we needed at right back, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's a really, really good player, and he has been for Liverpool for all the time that he's been there. He just can't stay fit, unfortunately. There's never any doubt about how good he is. And you're watching that performance, and you would think one thing you would maybe level at the manager is, why have you not used him a little bit earlier? Because he's clearly showing this in training as well, and he's clearly there, and the manager will have his reasons, fair enough, but looks like that's one that he could have turned to a little bit earlier, to be honest. Because he just looked very good. He looked, defensively solid, which is what you expect, having a centre-half / right back there instead of maybe a midfielder. But he looked good on the ball as well. He didn't hurt Liverpool with progressing it at all. He looked very, very comfortable. As you say, he got really wide at times and helped create space for others. It's one you wonder why it hasn't happened more recently. But the manager will be worried about doing this too often as well, because obviously he's probably going to break down at some point, and so he's probably not a player you want to rely on, and maybe that's part of the manager's thinking. But really, really good to see him on the pitch and playing well, and hopefully over this run, if you can't use him in every game, you can use him in a few, and he will put in a decent performance like that. I thought he was very, very good, and again, you've probably got a caveat. West Ham were they not very good, and they didn't give him very much threat to deal with. But I thought the only thing he could do was come in and play well, and he absolutely did it.
Yeah, he was really, really good yesterday, and an assist to boot. And I mean, speaking of really, really good, I'm torn with this one, as I say it, because any time that a player gets a goal and assist in a game, there should be praise galore, as we've done quite often for Mo Salah. But I mean, even this stat, shout out to Andrew Beasy for this, that for Liverpool's 3 off-to-define big chances, it was all Gakpo with 1 shot or created 2. It's strange because he ends the game with a goal and assist, but quite often it just felt like moves in the first half were breaking down when Florian Wirtz got him the ball as well. But is it maybe not that we don't really care about the performance? As long as he gets goals and assists, that's what Cody Gakpo's there for? Yeah,
it's a strange one, really, because I think it's absolutely right what you say, really, in terms of, he gets a goal, and it kind of sums up his season, really. He gets a goal, gets an assist, but you kind of feel like he's not playing that well. And it's bizarre. He creates 3 chances, I think. Obviously, has a couple of shots and scores one of them. But his passing accuracy is like 61%, which is remarkably low. So he's giving the ball away an awful lot. So, but I think that's been Gakpo all season, because even when he's been scoring earlier in the season, I said that left-hand side, I would have tried Wirtz there and would have been happy with that. Because Gakpo, despite getting the goals, it didn't feel like he was playing that well. But I think that's probably a good description of him there, an output player. He is a bit kind of unorthodox at times. He doesn't look that comfortable. He can give it away. But he's always trying things and always trying to get a goal. So that's maybe what makes him a better sub than a starter as well, by the way, is that he can sniff out goals, and it's not he doesn't have to be on the pitch when you're trying to keep the ball and build up and sustain pressure. But he will always sniff a goal out. So, yeah, it's a difficult one with him. He's very, very hard to rate at times, I think. But, he is still, to get a goal and assist in a game where Liverpool have won the game by 2 goals, you've got to kind of tip your cap to that, haven't you, and say that's a pretty decent effort. So, yeah, he can be frustrating at times, but he's still an important member of this squad, I'd say.
We've got to be fair, because we've had some games from Mo Salah where we thought he's not really done anything, and then he comes up with a goal and assist and changes it. So, it's got to be balanced in that regard. But, yeah, there is still a few question marks there. But listen, every time Liverpool win 2-0, and the way it's going at the moment, we will take it all day long. So we're positive there. Off the field, I mean, it's getting as busy as ever. The January transfer window is around the corner. And I didn't think I'd be talking about Bayern Munich, but Uli Hoeneß has had a lot to say about Liverpool today. You've probably seen it there, that they spent 500 million and having a disastrous season. In my opinion, that's because they only have superstars. They only have chiefs and no workers. I always say at Liverpool, they'll soon have to play with 5 balls because the stars won't give any of them. And then he went on to mention about how Wirtz isn't getting the ball because people like Salah and Szoboszlai don't do work. You're thinking, well, Dominic Szoboszlai covers 3 positions for us quite often. Is this just Bayern Munich salty because they didn't get Florian Wirtz?
Yeah, maybe. I don't like this idea of like other team football executives coming out and kind of talking down about other clubs or players or whatever. Liverpool have had struggles for whatever reason. And I also think, I mention it all the time, but have a bit of sensitivity around what this kind of squad's been through as well. I don't really like, they don't really need hammering in this way. And I think you're right, probably to link it to the Wirtz situation. They're probably not very happy about that, but they should be happy with what they got with Luis Diaz, by the way, who seems to be finding it pretty easy out there in the German league with all that space to run into. So a bit unnecessary and a bit classless, I would say, to do that. But Liverpool, won't pay any attention to that at all.
Yeah, it's strange comments at times, but such is the nature of Bayern. And I mean, speaking of strange, I was even wondering when to go where I ask you this, because the Lucas Paqueta situation, I mean, we have to be careful what we say for legal reasons because people have got certain suspicions. But I mean, it was just wild what happened. And then even this statement, it's ridiculous to have your life and career affected for 2 years without any psychological support from the federation. Perhaps this ridiculous behaviour is just a reflection of everything I've had to endure, and it seems having to continue enduring. I'm sorry if I'm not perfect. I mean, we even saw Alisson try and get in, didn't we, and stop this happening. We talked about refs and everything. This was just maybe the most bizarre incident of the season in a way.
Yeah, I think you kind of summed up how frustrated West Ham were that they were getting absolutely nothing in the game and that Liverpool were controlling them a little bit. But yeah, got to be, like you said, I would be careful about this one. But it's very, very strange, I would say, and it was so obvious. I mean, how long it went on for and how long it was just baiting another yellow card was just absolutely incredible. Really, just completely foolish. And if you were his manager, you'd be fuming. I mean, he's a very, very good player, and I sympathise with him for what he went through, particularly as he was found not guilty, which I will say I was kind of surprised by. I haven't seen the case, to be honest, but he was found not guilty. They didn't do anything about it in the end, so fair enough. You absolutely take that, and he has had a difficult time recently, but I don't think that's any excuse for what he's done there and how he linked the two. Like I say, if you're his manager, you'd be absolutely fuming, to be honest.
It's just really bizarre. But it suited us at the time, and maybe it was, as you said, part frustration for the game as well. So some strange comments, strange incidents coming out.